3 of Peace Day with Sacred You. I'm your host, Reverend Patricia Caginello, and I'm just so excited that we have Imam Jamal Rahman here with us of the Interfaith Amigos to share spiritual practices for peace from the Muslim faith. And I'd like to say welcome, Imam Jamal, to Sacred You.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be here.
I'm very excited you're here. We've talked with Pastor Don about the Christian faith. We've talked with Rabbi Ted about the Jewish faith. And now we are with you, Imam Jamal, for the Muslim faith. And so, peace. It's all about peace. Today's Peace Day on Sacred You, and you and the Interfaith Amigos have been working together in unity for peace for over 16 years now, correct?
My hair was black 16 years ago. That's right.
So share with us just a little bit about what brought you in your journey to be an imam and then to join with the Interfaith Amigos for your work in the interfaith world and for peace and unity.
Yes. It's of course, as it always is, a long story. But I'll keep it. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my parents were diplomats, and my parents come from a lineage of wonderful spiritual teachers. So I've had the privilege of studying Sufism, which is the mystical part of the tradition of Islam. And that, coupled with the fact that because my parents traveled and they were so open-minded, as a Muslim from a very young age, I visited temples, churches, and other houses of worship. And I became very well versed in what are called the universal insights of the Quran. And then when I was thinking about a career, I always wanted to be in community because my father's diplomatic experience opened me up to connecting with people of different faiths, different traditions, different cultures. And that was always exciting for me. And I loved the opportunity to talk about how to be a more complete human being so we can be of authentic service to God's creation. But, it's a path less traveled. I'm from South Asia. Parents want you to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a diplomat. But long story, my parents tragically died in the space of 20 days. And from that time on, I moved from a knowledge of the tongue to the knowledge of the heart. Then I said, let me do what I really want to do. Follow my bliss, as Joseph Campbell says. And that's where I am today.
So do you feel that your parents are just smiling down at you at all times for the path you've taken, the path less traveled?
I think they'd be very happy because they know that I am happy doing what I am doing. We have been able to create community and also an interfaith, interspiritual community. And we have been able to really live the insight that to be of authentic service to God's creation, we have to do the inner work of becoming a more developed, a more complete human being.
So do you believe, Imam Jamal, that peace is at the heart of your work?
Yes, I believe, peace is our natural state. This feeling of harmony, balance, well-being, we all yearn for that. And yes, it is at the heart of everybody's work and everybody's aspirations. At the core of it, it is love, and love is about joy and peace.
So Rabbi Ted talked about how in human history we have been really unable to sustain outer peace for any period of time. And you're saying that peace is our natural state, or harmony is. Why do you feel that if the inner peace that we seek and seem to should be our natural state or is our natural state seems so elusive, and the outer peace that we also seek seems so elusive?
Well, Sister Patricia, history. Where did we come from? What are we doing here? And where are we going? But it seems that we live in a world of duality, a world of opposites. We have within us our ego. We have within us what is called our divine spark. And somehow the circumstances of life almost force us to want to become better human beings. This is almost a longing within us. In Islam we say, this is a revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a dream where God says, I was a secret treasure and I longed to be known. And so I created you and the worlds, visible and invisible. So in a sense, we have the ego, we have the breath of God within us, and there is an inner longing to become more complete, to be more joyous, to be more loving, to attain and seek peace. It's a journey. Like Rumi says, there is a kiss we want all our lives, a touch of spirit on the body. That's the journey.
That's beautiful. And I have to say, when you call me Sister Patricia, it just warms my heart. I feel the connection to you. I feel the connection to the greater consciousness. Just that simple practice of you just referring to me as Sister Patricia shifted. It just kind of shifted even just our relationship. There's a beauty in that in that process alone.
And that's the knowing that this probably today, these days, always has been the case, but particularly these days, this is our greatest need for a spiritual practice, to connect to the other in essence. So my work is genuinely, Sister Patricia, to get to know you on a human level. Not to convince you of my views, of my Islamic faith, or my culture, or my theology, or my politics, but really to connect on a human level.
Yeah. We're going to have you share your spiritual practices from the Islamic faith in just a moment, but I feel like we just need to really just settle in and honor really the beautiful teaching that you just shared, that the ability to call each other by name, to refer to each other as sister and brother, to really feel into that. Imagine, Jamal, if we all greeted each other as sisters and brothers. And, imagine just that, the shift that would create in this world.
And, Sister Patricia, if somebody is adversarial, we always encounter those kinds of people. To know that if I'm angry at them, I'm angry at their behavior, not their being, not their essence, because their essence is Christ nature, Buddha nature, Allah nature, Elohim nature. And I am opposed to the antagonism, not the antagonist. And if I can, in my heart and mind, keep that discernment between behavior and being, this has the power to shift heaven and earth. There's a wonderful mystic in our tradition named Kabir, I believe 16th century. He says, do what is right. Don't allow yourself to be abused. Protect yourself. But as you deal with the adversary, do what is right, say what is right, take all the right action. But I beg you, as you do this, please do not keep this person's essence out of your heart, because it is sacred. And just knowing that and taking the right action has a huge impact.
Yeah.
Simple but not easy.
So beautiful, so beautiful. So can I refer to you as Brother Jamal?
Absolutely, I will be honored and privileged, and it's the truth. We are connected at that level.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, all is right in our world right now. If we could take what you have just co-created, just shared, and just bring it to the rest of the world, I think we'd be taking a very big step towards the path to peace for sure. But you know what's so fascinating? Even in the outer expression of peace, right? The connection with you calling me Sister Patricia and me calling you Brother Jamal, and that relationship that we have created outside of ourselves has brought me such a stillness in my heart and a peace within. It's profound. It is profound. So we've talked all day about creating the inner peace so we can manifest the outer peace, but you've just demonstrated the beauty of an outward action bringing inner peace. It works the other way too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, the other part is also very critical, that when I call you Sister Patricia and I connect with you on the outside, this needs to be a reflection of the relationship I have with myself. So my outer relationship, in this case with you, is truly a reflection of the relationship I have with myself. So if I'm not compassionate, loving, gentle with myself, I can never authentically, in a genuine way, be compassionate and loving towards you. Right. So that inner work is also very critical.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's so much easier to be in a peaceful state and to feel peace within when I'm in relationship with someone like yourself who is so compassionate and loving inwardly and outwardly. So that's the easy part. So help us for the practices that are special to you, spiritual practices that help you maintain or sustain or cultivate this inner peace and compassion you feel towards yourself that you can share with others. Because unfortunately, not yet, everyone is not Brother Jamal and does not show up in the love and the compassion that you do. So what do you do, Brother Jamal, or what can you share with us as far as practices from the Islamic faith that help you cultivate your inner peace and compassion?
You know, one practice, Sister Patricia, which is dear to my heart and is at the core of Islamic spirituality, is the understanding, the cultivation and practice of compassion, but particularly compassion for oneself. And for that, in Islamic spirituality, Sufi teachers who are the mystical bearers of teachings in Islam, they say, let's explain what compassion is. So the example they use is the metaphor of water. There is nothing as soft and yielding as water is, yet for overcoming the hardest, the most insurmountable, nothing is as powerful as water is. Meaning, the person who is gentle and compassionate is actually possessed of authentic strength. That, as all the holy books say, wherever water falls, as the Quran says, that life flourishes. That means that if I am gentle and compassionate, not only am I authentically strong, I am life-affirming. I am life-bestowing. So one practice, if I may quickly share, is what we call sacred naming. What does that mean? Well, let me give you an example. When I was very young, my parents told me, son, can you think of a word or sentence that if you add to your name and you repeat it to yourself, it evokes a feeling of gentleness, mercy. And I remembered my grandfather, who was a very wonderful spiritual healer. He had this wonderful practice, which he would share everywhere. He would call himself Brother Heda. So I tried to call myself Brother Jamal, particularly at those times when I'm hard on myself. Because all the psychologists, spiritual teachers, they say that we are constantly talking to ourselves, self-talk. However, a lot of the self-talk is negative. I'm not good looking enough, not smart enough, not tall enough, not good enough, capable enough. Negative self-talk. So what if when I am having that negative self-talk, I do a spiritual intervention? Brother Jamal, I'm so sorry you're feeling this, but let me help you with this. The moment I say, Brother Jamal, and I remember to say it in a tone of affection, immediately the energy changes, the content of the conversation changes, the direction of the conversation changes. So for me, this is a primary practice with myself, and I share this with others. And I and Brother Jamal have constant conversations, and believe me, life is never boring because of the conversation.
So a beautiful practice of compassion towards self is referring to yourself.
Yes.
In
a beloved one, my dear one, sweet child, Some will say, I don't know what to call myself, but they say, I remember I had a grandmother who used to call me Piroshki, and I remember that feeling. So I call myself Piroshki. And especially at those times, I'm being hard on myself.
Mm.
And the other thing, Sister Patricia, is if I keep doing this, I find that this organically, naturally, in a very genuine, beautiful way, it helps me with my relationship with others. It creates the passageway and the energy for me to connect with others in a real way on the footing of love and mercy and compassion, and it brings us closer almost immediately.
Yeah. So I will start, and I ask everyone who's viewing this to pick a term of endearment, whether it is sister or brother, or as you said, dear one, or a term of endearment from someone that is shared with you, and call yourself that. Call yourself that as you speak. Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. Can I ask you a question? Because when we were in seminary, and I know that, the study of Sufism was one of my very favorites. And one of the prayers that we learned that it just resonated with me the most was the Sufi body prayer, when we engage the whole body in the prayer. And I'd never really done that before. I'd never really thought about, the engagement of the body. Prayer seemed to be either, mental or emotional, but it didn't seem to be physical. So if you would just allow me to ask you that question, can you share from Sufism or the Islamic faith, the idea of the engagement of the body in prayer and how that can also help us foster this inner peace that we're searching for?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for asking that question. First of all, the origin of that is in the tradition that the Prophet Muhammad, he had a vision, or it actually happened, where he ascended 7 levels of heaven, from which comes this insight, I'm in 7th heaven. But as he ascended the levels of the heaven, he was dazzled by the sight of angels all around him. Angels going like this, bowing, prostrating, and going all the way down and sitting up. And they were murmuring some things. So he said he heard that the angels were thanking God and praising God and bowing and prostrating. From that, the Prophet Muhammad got the idea that a genuine prayer must consist of praising God and thanking God and using the gift of the body to express this adoration. So when Muslims pray, they make certain symbolic movements, like they'll go like this, Allahu Akbar, which means, oh God, you're great beyond compare, the most compassionate. But this means, for now, as I stand in the presence of majesty, I am putting the world behind me. And I'm really listening. I put my hands like this, I say words, and if you wonder what they're saying, they're reciting verses of the Quran, which praises God and thanks God. That they bow, meaning I let go of my ego to you. They stand up, which means that I'm listening and I hear God saying, God tells humanity, I love those who adore me. Then I prostrate on the floor, which means, please help me to let go of my attachment to my ego. I sit up, which means, and this is what remains of me when I let go of my ego. Then I repeat the process again. I let go, I stand up. And when it finishes, in the second round, then you turn to the right side, you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, which means peace and greetings be upon you. Peace and greetings be upon you, left side. And one is greeting the angels, which the Islamic tradition says always they rush into spaces of holiness. But yes, using the gift of a body to express this adoration. And I love this insight from the great masters. They say, one body prostration of prayer to God liberates you, frees you from 1,000 prostrations to your ego.
I don't think it can be underestimated, the power of...
Patricia, there's a question coming up here saying, do the men and women do it the same? Yes, absolutely the same. the same. Sorry, please go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. Thank you for acknowledging the question. Thank you for the question. We welcome questions. The men and women do it the same. However, I don't think it can be underestimated, the engagement of the body,
Yes.
with the heart and with the mind, with all, the fullness of who we are, how powerful that is. And I think, and I'd like to know, I think that it helps us, feel it even more when we engage the body. It's almost like we bring it into the body. Does it make sense? And we can feel it more deeply.
Yes, because you see, we know in every tradition says the body is a temple because it houses our soul. And because it houses our soul, we are honoring the body by using the body and having the body convey this thanksgiving and gratitude to God also.
Mm-hmm. So the cultivating of the practices for inner peace, right? So when I feel something very deeply, that naturally seems to bring me to a state of peace. Can you add something to that, in the sense of how we can more fully experience that peace that surpasses all understanding, as we say, within, and then sharing that, with others?
You see, the one common practice for people who are religious or not religious is simply the practice of silence.
Mm.
Because not only does it relax us, center us, but it connects us to the source. And it doesn't matter what your belief system is, whether it's God, spirit, intelligence, justice. Like Rumi says, we are like fish thrashing and quivering on the banks. And from time to time, we need to dive into those waters of silence. And we become more, not only renewed and rejuvenated, but filled with that cosmic vibration of love and joy, which is really our birthright. So I would advocate any practice of silence. As all the great masters say, in Islam we say, silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of the little self. So anything we can do to truly go beyond what the Hindus call the rattle of the cage of monkeys. So for me, my practice I like very much is to become quiet, focus on my nostrils, breathe in, breathe out. This is in every tradition. And then I like to focus on my heart. May I tell you more about that, or should I go on?
Yes, tell us about that, and then that also I will ask you to then segue into, because you have a free webinar coming up on October 11th with the Interfaith Amigos, Finding Hope for Peace.
Yes.
That we're very excited about. So if you can finish sharing your practice and then share with us, what you're excited about the webinar, the Finding Hope for Peace, and what you'll be sharing on Wednesday. That would be wonderful.
Well, silence, for me, the best silence is focusing in the nostril and just being with the breath, doing it for some time, and then focusing on the heart. The heart in every tradition, and certainly in Islam, is very highly valued for one particular reason. There's a beautiful revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream where God says, "O beloved one," telling humanity, God says, "I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart of my devotee." So in silence, just being with the heart and touch the heart, because our heart yearns to connect with us. And by touching my heart, I'm connecting with my physical heart and also my divine heart, the spark of divinity within me. And just be with that in silence. That is my most favorite practice. Yes, hope. We all need hope. In fact, there's a saying in almost every tradition that says that a person who has no hope has nothing. But a person who has nothing but has hope has everything. I love the saying by Rumi who says, Oh, dear heart, never lose hope. Miracles dwell in the invisible. Even if the whole world turns against you, keep your eyes on the beloved, on the friend. So spiritual practices that connect you to the source will give you hope. The Quran says the earth was parched, barren, but the waters of mercy came down and the earth became clothed in green. Hope through spiritual practices. And can we rely on hope? Do we believe in hope? In my lifetime, I never had hope that the Berlin Wall would come down. It has come down. Apartheid would be dismantled. It has been dismantled. I could go on and on and on. So many things have happened. Keeping the faith, which comes from authentic hope, which is not about expectations, but really being open to the mystery and continuing our work. And this is what I am particularly excited about in this course, that we shall show in a practical, simple way some techniques which will sustain hope in times of despair and darkness.
I'm very excited about the webinar coming up, and I'm very excited about the course. And I will post the link in the comments to the free webinar that Brother Jamal, Pastor Don, and Rabbi Ted will be doing with us on Wednesday. And also the Finding Peace Through Spiritual Practice Masterclass that they have agreed to come back and teach again starting October 23rd. They taught it last spring, and it's absolutely beautiful and profound, and they're going to do it again. And so it's just such an honor, Brother Jamal, to have you and the other Interfaith Amigos working with Sacred You, sharing your teachings, your practices, your wisdom, with Sacred Stories and Sacred You. It is an honor. It's an honor to speak with you today.
It has been an honor for me to work with my Interfaith Amigos, Rabbi Ted, Pastor Don, and to really connect with you, Sister Patricia, Sister Kate, everybody in Sacred University, and these courses that you're doing. And I mean it very sincerely. They are of such authentic help to all of us, particularly in these turbulent times. It's not about Jamal or Ted or Don or anybody else. It's about the message, the practices, and the practical action we can all take, and the hope it creates that sustains us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for acknowledging that, because it is, the work, just like you, this is supreme importance, the what is being shared and in service to helping others in the world we live in.
We are all being asked to raise our consciousness. We all know the cliche, we cannot solve a problem at the level of the problem. We have to rise above it. Well, it can be done. It cannot be done through talk only. It has to be done through action, which involves inner spiritual action and also outer spiritual action.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of a better way to end than that, except to ask you, Brother Jamal, for a blessing for peace for all of us as we end our talk today and prepare to meet again on the webinar Finding Hope for Peace on Wednesday. So you just share a blessing for peace with us, and
I will share the blessing which Sufi sages have said throughout, maybe embodied in this just one simple sentence of Rumi, who never wrote, just uttered. He prays that, he said, please come out of the circle of time and enter the circle of love. May we do that.
Oh, I'll say amen, hallelujah, and so it is. Come out of the circle of time and into the circle of love. Thank you, Brother Jamal Rahman, and thank you for everyone who's been with us. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.